Thank you very much. Thank you, Joseph, for the invitation. Thank you to The Economist. I was here in November. I was in office at that time, as you know, and it was a storm day. I'm now here. I'm out of office with the sun, so I leave to you all the consideration about this coincidence. 7 minutes, so I will try to be very brief. I'm a fan of football. Mourinho and Ancelotti, they play with 4-4-2 or 4-4-3-3. I propose a simple 1-3-2. 1, negative awareness, 3 conditions to change, and 2 final remarks. 1, negative awareness. Mario Monti yesterday spoke about the market fatigue. I will propose to you an Euromed fatigue. We speak about Euromed since many years. Barcelona, I think we remember, 95. Now we are in a fully Euromed fatigue. A new legislature at European level is yet to start. Is a legislature with the need for growth, but also with the need of the Mediterranean at the top of the agenda. We hadn't, in these 5 very difficult years, the Mediterranean at the top of the agenda. But this frustration was because, of course, of the crisis in the Eurozone, but also because of the instability in the northern part of Africa and in the Middle East. In these years, the Mediterranean was again a problem, not an opportunity. And for countries like Malta or like Italy, this is a negative precondition. The instability, the violence, civil wars, plus the financial crisis in the euro area created an explosive and destructive mix. And of course, for that, the Mediterranean became the last priority automatically. So, 3 conditions to change. The first condition is, of course, decisive to have stability, political stability, to overcome instability, violences, civil wars, and is essential to have recovery in the northern part of the Mediterranean. We have, in my view, to understand that mobility partnerships are a success until now, but we have to develop from this mobility partnership example, we have to develop in stronger and wider ties the relationship between the European Union and the single countries in the Mediterranean. It's absolutely necessary, of course, for us, but also for the general recovery in the European Union. Without a recovery in the Mediterranean, without stability in the Mediterranean, without overcoming civil wars and difficulties in the energy supply chain, it will be very difficult to have a complete recovery in the Mediterranean. It's the first condition, and I think it will be the first goal for the next European institutions. The second, of course, is linked to one of the most important subjects with which people like Joseph or myself, Mario Monti before me, we had the opportunity and the difficult task to deal. Of course, is the problems of the migration flows. We had a year 2013 very difficult, of course, and probably the year 2014 will be difficult as such. I think we have to be very clear. The next European Council in June has to take the subject, the changes. I think the discussion on the institutional framework, Dublin Treaty and so on, is impossible to continue like that. It's absolutely necessary to implement the 38 measures that the task force that we built up in October presented in June, and in my view is decisive to avoid to have the Mediterranean as, again, a dead sea. There is no prosperity in the area if the Mediterranean will be again a dead sea. This is why I think on the migration flows is necessary a general alliance. We have to oblige all the European Union to take and to put this point at the top of the agenda. We have to continue the Rabat process. That was an important one, a successful one until now, but we have to extend this process because it's decisive to deal with the countries, not only the countries in the north part of Africa, but also in the rest of the region, because we know very well from where people is arriving here, from Somalia, from Eritrea, and so on. So the third condition to change, the institutional framework of the Euromed activity. It's not easy, of course. It's not easy because from Barcelona to l'Union pour la Méditerranée, 5+5, Malta had a very important leadership role, and Malta hosted here an important 5+5 summit at the level of head of states and government. I think we have to put this point at the top of the agenda of the next legislature. We have to make a choice, but we have to find an institutional framework able to put together all the leaders, and not for ceremonial events, but for discussing, for knowing each other and for taking decisions, important decisions, for making our public opinion aware about our common destiny, as the Prime Minister of Morocco already said. Two final remarks. Yesterday we discussed about the UK. I think The Economist is interested in this crucial point. I think the future of the Mediterranean is linked to the fact that the UK will stay on board of the European Union, because the UK is not a northern European country like Sweden or Finland or Lithuania. They can have the Mediterranean not at the top of their agenda. For the UK it's different, of course. We are in Malta, I can easily develop this crucial point. And we need to have the UK on board, and the UK in the Mediterranean will play and is playing a crucial role. So I think it will be very important to help the UK to remain on board and to have 2017 a success on this referendum. But, and it's my final remark, I think we need leadership in the Mediterranean. And my proposal is not my job to make proposals here, but I'm a friend of Joseph, so I can do that. This conference was a success. It's the first conference. I think the common leadership of The Economist and Malta's government can create here a sort of exercise in continuity, in trying to have here in Malta. Malta is a natural place where we can discuss easily about the future of the region without crying, without only crying. And I think The Economist, of course, is the best place in the world. Is a demonstration that all the discussion about the end of the printing press are over, because it's a weekly press of success, and you are the future. You are not only the past. And I think the cooperation between The Economist and Malta can be very important, because if The Economist continues to say that the Mediterranean is important for the future of Europe, that will be important for us, the Mediterranean too. So Joseph, take this leadership. It will be important for all of us. Thank you.
Grazie, Presidente, especially for your words about The Economist. And I now give the floor to Noureddine Zekri from Tunisia. Also for 7 minutes.
Inshallah. Mr. Joseph Muscat, Prime Minister of Malta, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I would like, first of all, to thank the Maltese government and the organizers of this roundtable, and the warm welcome and hospitality for their initiative to host this important meeting here in Malta. Thank you for being with us to this session, which is, I'm sure, a good opportunity for me to share with you the latest development as far as the transition to democracy is concerned. Let me begin by reminding that 4 months ago, when I was in Malta to take part to the conference organized by Malta Institute of Management here, I mentioned in my speech that Tunisia is doing its best to finalize its constitution. I was also saying that the different components of our society are striving to reach a consensus on the model of Tunisia we all wish. Fortunately, after tough debate, we reached a consensus and succeeded to approve our constitution, which was voted by more than 19% of the voices. All Tunisians are proud of it, since everyone is finding its major choices and is understanding that he is compelled to make some concession to those having different point of view with him. Let me just mention the content of some articles so that you can understand the importance of what had been achieved. Some provisions building democratic republican regime in the framework of civil state, the respect of human rights and freedoms, independence of justice, equality of rights and duties between all citizens, male and female, and equality between all regions. The state is the guardian of the religion. It guarantees, and it is very, very important, freedom of conscience and belief. The state shall seek to achieve social justice, sustainable development, and balance between regions based on the development indicators and the principle of positive discrimination. You know that the revolution in Tunisia happened mainly for 2 reasons when we speak about economic side. One is the imbalance between regions, and the other is the unemployment of graduates. All citizens, male and female, have equal rights and duties. Freedom of opinion, thought, expression, information, and publication shall be guaranteed. Education shall be mandatory up to the age of 16 years. Local governments shall enjoy legal personality as well as financial and administrative independence. Actually, the consensus was found thanks to the role of the civil society, where a quartet composed of Employees Union, UGTT, Employees Union, UTK, as well as the human rights organization and the representative of the Tunisian justice, who reached the agreement to set up a roadmap of the future steps with the biggest number of parties. This roadmap consists of, besides the approval of the constitution, the change of the government in place, representing the Troika by a neutral government composed of technocrats assuring the lead of the country to transparent and fair elections. The roadmap accepted by all the parties fixed as deadline the end of this year to hold the presidential and legislative elections. A government can then be in place for a longer period. Ladies and gentlemen, the clarification of the political agenda has had already positive impact by providing more visibility and conveying a reassuring message to our people and our partners and sisterly and friendly countries, as well as the regional and international structure and institutions. The current government that I am representing today has 2 major missions: assure the security of the country and improve the economic and financial recovery. In his opening speech in the Constituent Assembly, the President of the government underlined the importance of the fight against the terrorism, where Tunisia has achieved in the last period positive results thanks to the recovery of the role of the police and the army. Our borders are safer, and we reinforce our collaboration with our neighbors to improve security. In the economic side, It should be emphasized that the revolution in Tunisia revealed many shortcomings and problems in the development patterns that had been adopted, which requires a thorough review of options and directions and bold reforms to meet the aspiration and raised challenges. In this context, the government, encouraged by the participation of all the national parties, as well as partners from international and regional organizations, to whom we express our sincere thanks, in order to determine a number of reforms needed to support the transition in Tunisia and to confirm the position of our country in the emerging economies. These reforms involve many fields and sectors related in particular to the consecration of the fundamental principle for the establishment of a state of institution and good governance, the promotion of social sectors and services to reduce pressure in this field and upgrading further the national economy and development of business climate. Tunisia has also sought, through the implementation of the economic program, to reconcile between these deep and structural reforms, which aims to break with the previous development system, and the urgent and pressing actions which aim to revitalize the economy and growth, restore investor confidence, provide liquidity assets, and reducing soaring prices. Since the appointment of the new government, and thanks to the success on establishing the political agenda, the international community showed big support to our country and resumed confidence of its capacity to achieve its development. Many initiatives to support good governance, job creation, regional development, as well as economic recovery were undertaken with the help of our partners. The EU and its financial institutions increased their involvement in our country through both budget support and project financing. The World Bank and IMF, as well as the Islamic and Arab institutions and funds, increased their contribution in the building of the new Tunisia. Despite the difficult conditions at the national and international levels, Tunisia has managed, thanks to these measures and reforms, to achieve positive economic results, as growth rate was 2.6% in 2013, much less than before, compared to minus 1.9% contraction in 2011. At the same time, the current government is eager to improve and then to maintain internal and external public financial balances and relatively acceptable levels with good management of resources in spite of internal and external pressures. The Tunisian government has started reviewing the legal and institutional framework for internal and external investment in order to improve the business climate. The revision of the investment code has indeed started. As part of the activation of the role of the private sector in the economic system and strengthening the capacity of the state to implement structural projects, we have prepared a draft framework law regulating PPP. We are convinced that the above-mentioned reforms, as well as those which the government is now working on in many other areas, such as the revision of the tax system and reforms in the financial sectors and education, training and higher education system, will contribute to the improvement of the business environment and to increase the productivity and competitiveness of the Tunisian investment side. The social pact signed by the social partners, as well as the political consensus, will improve the social climate in Tunisia, which was one of the main reasons of the decrease of FDI in 2011 and beginning of 2012. It should be reminded in this context that Tunisia enjoys a rich experience in the field of foreign investment, as the total number of companies with foreign participation operating in our country is more than 3,000, providing more than 330,000 jobs. More than 80% are coming from Europe. Moreover, the manufacturing sector attracts a large share of foreign investment with the continuous emergence of promising sectors. Tunisia remains a destination of choice in attracting investment thanks to its offer in terms of opportunities and encouraging environment, which consists mainly of the diversity of its economy in the field of agriculture, industry, tourism, and services, as well as its location and the availability of qualified human resources, which represent Tunisia's main wealth. In addition, Tunisia enjoys comparative advantages that stimulate investment and increase competitiveness. Tunisia is also recovering its place as one of the best touristic countries, and the year 2014 is expected to register positive records thanks to the peaceful transitional period that we are living now. Last but not least, I would like to renew my thanks to the Maltese government and for hosting this important forum and their hospitality. I wish you ever success. Thank you very much.